Welcome to Kick a Legend, where I help you progress and have fun with your kickboxing and martial art by introducing technical and interesting ideas. You can find the time, just keep training, and the way we help you do that is by keeping things fresh, by bringing in different instructors and building collaborations that speak to you, whether you have not enough time or some physical limitations right now, some funding limitations right now. We're trying to speak to you to get you to keep working and keep having fun and keep growing. Today I'm going to answer a question from viewer Paul Story about how to take advantage of height and range in your sparring. So I'm here at MKG Detroit with Kurt Cornwell, and we're going to talk about how to use your range when you're a taller fighter. Now, obviously, the first thing is to think about your lead hand. A lot of people talk about developing a powerful jab, which is 100% true. But I wanted to take a look at other aspects of the lead hand which you may want to develop, especially since here we do a few different angles of attack than your standard just jab and hook. First thing, obviously, have a fast and have a strong jab. And then double, triple, and you want to be able to hit it what I'm going to call standard retraction for a double, which is about 90 degrees. And you also want to be able to hit it with even less retraction to kind of just really put that into space and make these micro adjustments. In addition to those jabs, while moving, right, we want to be able to hit it floating to our right, floating to our left, turning and everything else. We need to be able to hit kind of the curving shots, so a hookish jab, so rather than straight in like this, you're going to see it come a little bit flared out so that it's kind of getting around the rear hand guard, and Kurt's going to hold forward just slightly curved. And then a little step to make kind of a 1/8 turn is what we're looking for. The hold for that kind of hookish jab is he's just going to point it slightly diagonal, and I'm going to hit it. Or I'm going to take a slight turn, more like an 1/8 or even 1/16 of a turn while I hit that. The idea kind of getting around his rear hand and just playing with angles, right? Your jab is far more dangerous when he's not quite sure exactly what angle it's coming in from. And then of course, you have a fairly hooking lead hand, so he can hold for almost 90 degrees, kind of 45, and everything in between. Right? And if I'm working on those, if he's holding a somewhat standard hold, right? So if he's just holding for standard jab, I can hit it slightly curving as well, as long as the energy is not disrupting him or knocking it into his face too much. I can still work on this even with a fairly standard jab hold. And then in addition to that, you want to be able to hit the long uppercut, right? So he's going to just angle it down a little bit. Kind of the JKD-ish straight lead, so he's going to hold it relatively flat. You can kind of hit the JKD-ish straight lead as well, which is kind of going to turn vertical as I step through. You can hit a standard jab, but vertical, right? That's great for getting in between the gloves, right? Because a vertical fist has a narrower profile. You can hit the hammer fists, so he's holding there for forehand hammer fists. And then if his hold flashes the other one slightly at an angle, you can hit horizontal, diagonal down, all these things. So if you just look at it dead on, right? I even threw in this kind of backhand uppercut. If you have a very dynamic, very fast lead hand, you're going to be overwhelming the person because he's not sure what angle it's coming from, especially if you also have power, right? It's one thing for me to just to be kind of like playing patty cake here, but if I've worked this enough on the heavy bag and on the mitts so that any one of these can be hard enough to stop him in his tracks, that's what's really giving you the freedom, right? You have to be able to hit most of these hard enough to matter, in addition to being maybe light and fast. So that way it keeps him guessing even more, right? He's not sure when I'm playing and feeling him out with these weird angles. He's not sure when one of these is going to turn into a relatively hard shot. In addition to having a strong lead hand, you have to make sure you have a powerful rear hand as well, because eventually he is going to duck under, make a drastic slip that you can't adjust to in time, and he's going to be in on you. The primary alternate tool to tag him again is, of course, with your rear hand. And to make space, we want to work on throwing the cross while backing up. I'm going to zoom out in a second so you see what the footwork looks like. But I want to be able to throw, so if he's walking into me, a relatively hard shot while I'm backing up. So in practice, what's happening is maybe he's gotten way out on the jab, and I just don't feel like I have time to make this shot matter, either because he's got too much angle or something's going on with this. So my alternate is to turn and fire, right? And even if I don't catch him on the button, what might happen is I stop his body, right? Between me stopping him and me backing up, I've made space again, resetting the distance to once again take advantage of my range. So you can see the footwork a little bit on that backing up cross. I'm basically pushing off with my lead foot and planting with my right to get that counter motion, right? So Kurt comes in, and then this follows, so I reset to the correct distance between my feet. So it's kind of like a push shuffle backwards, if you will. And then to make this more challenging, he can also start flashing the pad at slightly different positions. For safety, he's never going to flash it right in front of his face. But let's say between standard position and kind of over here, and maybe even flashing that pad to try to make me hit this kind of weird thing. It's going to feel like a right-hand jab, but again, I'm trying to have dynamic, reaction-based training in this case. And then we integrate that, of course, with the lead hand. So he's going to hold for, let's say, a couple variations of my lead hand and then rush me with the pad, understanding I'm going to hit the rear hand on that one. So I hope you found that useful. Give it a try. Again, don't take advantage of your range exclusively because it's going to make it a very frustrating thing to work with you. Dedicate a certain percentage of your time to this and a certain percentage of your time to developing your other skills. This is Warren Kurt here at MKG Detroit. Hope you found this useful. Make sure you check out his kickboxing classes as well as dirty boxing and all the wealth of knowledge that we have to offer here at MKG Detroit. So let's kick legend, keep your chin down, elevate your strength.